Good morning, India. Good morning, humanity. I am shocked to see that in this geopolitics, the basic issues have been sidelined with surgical precision. And it seems the environment is inflicted with profound, enormous, gigantic big gate. Everybody is talking about beef. Pardon me, fascism knows better ways to get a strength, and it fits itself on blind nationalism. At least for 1000 years, India knows Islam and Islamic ways, and Islam is a religious way of life, and Indian people, particularly those excluded communities, just because of the inherent racist apartheid in a Manusmriti discipline, Manusmriti rule. The people excluded from society, economy and politics, they sought equity and justice in Islam. All these people in India, it is about 30 crore people who are Muslim. They did not came from Arabia or Mongolia. They are our kith and kin. And we have been living together for all these 1000 years. And during all these years, beef eating or not eating beef had not been an issue. Why this is an issue? We are not aware of the economy. We are not aware of the economic issues. We are not aware of the agenda of Hindutva, which is already active since 1946, when Constituent Assembly was discussing the regulation of framing Indian Constitution, when under British rule to separate politics to autonomous dominions, Hindustan and Pakistan were shaping as and in and independent states. It was a grand alliance of Hindus led by Congress, and it included the Hindutva Paribar, RSS, and Hindu Mahasabha and other Hindu elements who made the Grand Alliance, and it sidelined the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, the meeting in between M.K. Gandhi and Lord Mountbatten has been hyped and highlighted and talked about all the way. Since then, all over the 7 decades, we have been talking about the story of transferring the power, transfer of the population and independence, and the story is focused on that particular scene, M.K. Gandhi meeting with Lord Mountbatten. Mind you, it is not decisive at all. The decision was taken very earlier, and pardon me, Mr. M.K. Gandhi had no hand in that decision. The Grand Hindutva Alliance already stepped in with the exit of Netaji, with the demise of Fazlul Haq, and with the marginalization of Simant Gandhi, and all those democratic, progressive and secular elements who were sidelined by Congress, and Congress opted for Hindutva agenda. It is the fact. If Gandhi dared to alienate himself from Congress party, he would have been thrown away. And hence Gandhi had to talk to cabinet mission. Gandhi had to talk to Lord Mountbatten, and he is made responsible for the partition. And we, the people all over this geopolitics, happen to be the victims of partition. And the partition continues. It was two nations theory which partitioned India, and it is this bloody beef gate which is partitioning India yet again. I told you that fascism knows better ways to get strength from the roots, and the progressive, secular and democratic forces always tend to commit Himalayan blunders. And thus, those progressive, secular and democratic forces have lost relevance in Indian geopolitics. They have no role to play. They could not stop the devastation of the economy, could not stop the devastation of the production system. They could not stop Sikh genocide. They could not play any role whatsoever to stop the war against the Sikhs in India. The Sikhs, whose religion was meant to protect Hinduism. It was Guru Gobind Singh who created the Khalsa Panth, which meant to protect the religion, and we Indians opted to kill those Khalsa followers. It is quite ironical. The progressive elements could not stop Bhopal gas tragedy. They cannot stop Monsanto. They cannot stop economic reforms. Even they could not lodge their FIR, their protest against this genocide culture, the ethnic cleansing. They could not intervene in the demolition of Babri Masjid just because they are uprooted from the roots of India, and they are habitual to inflict cultural shock. They reject to understand the cultural roots of India. It is tolerance all the way. Hindutva is not a religion. It is not a discipline. Nobody is obliged to visit the temple. Nobody is obliged to worship. The faith is quite personal. You may opt for any god or goddess and you may worship him or her. You may create your own idol, and it is quite democratic. We have to understand that there should not be any fatwa for declaring who happen to be Hindus and who are not Hindus. That had been the way of life in Hindutva all these years. Of course, the Manusmriti was there. There was the inherent caste system, blatant and brute feudal setup of production, but we had the relationship intact between the productive forces as long as the production system survived. Hindus and Muslims were working together in India. Let me quote one instance. What I watched and studied very closely in Meerut during the Meerut riots in 80s. I had been in Meerut as a professional journalist since 1984 to 1989. Meerut is famous for handloom. All the workers belong to the Muslim community, and all the businessmen and the employers belong to Hindu religion. I would not name those parties who were benefited for the devastation of handloom in Meerut. I would not name them. I had written my short novel, Unka Mission, Their Mission, and I looked at the geography of riots. Those riots were concentrated on strategic points of production system, and the production system were burned the handloom in Meerut was burned down in riots. Malyana and Hashimpura genocide not only killed the Muslims, but it killed the indigenous aborigine economy in western UP, and the process continues till this date. We witnessed Muzaffarnagar riots. Thus, in Banaras, the Banarasi silk is all about the production system. Yet again, it is the case of handloom. In Firozabad, it had been bangles. In Aligarh and in Muradabad, in any other city, if you note it with caution, it related with the indigenous production system, the market of the products by our craftsmen, by our producers. Those markets were devastated in the result of riots, and it is economy. We treat it as politics. We treat it as a religious right. This beef gate is about the economy because it escapes the economic questions. It escapes the agenda of reforms. It escapes the discussion on climate change. It escapes the naked exploitation of natural resources. It escapes all those stories of genocide and ethnic cleansing and Holocaust continued. It escapes discussion on Salwa Jurun. It escapes discussion on Kashmir, Manipur, and armed forces this APSPA. We are not discussing that. Bihar is in election process, but nobody speaks about the backwardness of Bihar. Nobody is addressing the basic disease in the production system. Why the Bihari people have to go out of Bihar, and why should be they treated as outsiders in Manipur or in Tamil Nadu or in Mumbai? Why should the Biharis not have employment in localities? In India, it is the great tragedy that you can't have job in your locality. You can't have job in your district, in your state, and you have to go out to seek job outside, and you are disturbing the demography there, and the demography turns very hostile as it is in Mumbai. The Shiv Sena is exploiting this disturbance in demography because the people have not employment at home, and we linked employment with technical performance, technical viability. You have to be a trained worker because you have killed the agrarian economy, which is the source of natural employment. If we had been in our villages, we would not have been that worried about the employment of our children. Our parents were not worried at all about our future, about our employment, because they knew that they were efficient enough to accommodate us into the agrarian system, into that production system, whether we were efficient or inefficient. We could accommodate ourselves in that economy. We killed that economy, and hence it is the problem of unemployment, because the agrarian growth rate is zero or below zero, and at the same time the industrial production is around zero, which is claimed to be 2% to 4%. That's not enough, while the growth rate is highlighted at above 7%, and it had touched 9% and above. It is the contradiction. Your agrarian growth rate is zero, your industrial growth rate is under the line, and you are talking about the growth rate. We are not addressing this basic problem. It's a problem of the economy. We are not talking about the fundamental problems of the economy, the basic needs linked to open market, to purchasing power, and India is already in fire. And we think that it is the fire created by religion. Pardon me, religion has nothing to do with you. The religion is nothing to do with this economic system. Religion has nothing to do with economic reforms. Religion has nothing to do with ethnic cleansing and genocide culture. Sikh genocide was performed as a ritual to unite Hindutva for the resurrection of Hindu. And it was Indira Gandhi, aligned with RSS, Hindutva forces, who invoked the Hindu to kill the Sikhs. It is brute fact, it is brute historical fact, and it was the grand alliance of Hindutva which killed the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. He had to agree on the partition of India. He had to agree to the transfer of power. He had to agree to the population transfer. Mahatma Gandhi had to agree for the continuous phenomenon of demographic adjustment and readjustment, and that is the root cause of continuous refugee influx, continuous displacement within the country, continuous refugee influx from districts and states in India, and the disturbance in demography. Recently, I posted a story on ব্লগার হত্যা নিয়ে কিছু কথা, the story landed in my box right from Bangladesh. And it was talking about the halt of the secular, democratic and progressive forces. They were attacking the religious faith which they could have escaped. They were amounting for the cultural shock. Please correct me if I am wrong. The multinational companies which are investing in India and which hire the manpower for Indian market, they train their manpower that avoid cultural shock. Because if you opt for cultural shock for marketing, you would lose the market because the masses would be agitated. And we are doing exactly that. We are agitating the masses to align them with the Hindutva forces, with the Fascism. Because faith is very deep rooted. Well, I am a democratic person. I am a literate person. I am a postgraduate. I am a journalist. I am secular. You can't question my secularism. I am an atheist. But I am not habitual to eat beef because I have been learning that beef eating is not our culture. It was the learning and it is deep rooted in my blood, generation after generation. And I am not that revolutionary that I have to prove me secular, democrat and progressive just by eating beef. Eating beef is not progressive. Eating beef is not secular. Eating beef is not democratic. It is the way of religious life of our Muslim brothers, the kith and kin. Then let me point another thing. There have been hundreds of Nobel laureates. If we talk about Albert Einstein, perhaps the most intellectual person on this globe, he agreed with Gandhi. Gandhi was a religious man. He is the man who introduced Ram into Indian geopolitics, and he used Hindutva to mobilize Indian people for the struggle of freedom. And mind you, Mahatma Gandhi did not say anything against Islam. Vinoba Bhave got the Holy Quran translated in Hindi. Gandhi used to read all the holy books. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar studied all the holy scripts. He studied the religious ways, the religion, the faith of the people. None of them tried to disturb the personal faith. They were not bringing about any cultural shock. Ambedkar, of course, was very, very loud to break the myths about the religion. And those myths have nothing to do with religion. Those contradictory myths were created to sustain Manusmriti rule. Ambedkar was against Manusmriti. He was not against the faith of the people. He was not against the culture of India. And that culture is plural culture. That culture roots in the diversity. That culture is a nature associated culture. If you note cautiously and read cautiously the slokas, the hymns in Vedas, those were dedicated to all natural forces. Those Vedic people were worshipping the nature, and those rishis and munis, they were rooting in the forest. And we are Hindus, and our Vedas, our Vedic culture was dedicated to nature, and our people, our holy men who scripted the Hindutva holy scripts, Maharishi Vyas Muni, who wrote Mahabharata, Maharshi Valmiki, who wrote Ramayana, they were the residents of forests. And we are killing forests. We are deforesting the Himalayas, the abode of Indian religious faith, because all the sadhus, all the sants, all the rishis used that abode from where he could address their God. And hence the Himalayas is called Devbhumi. What is Devbhumi? Devbhumi is nothing to do with religion. It is the intimate relationship of nature and man. That is relation. That is religion. The interactions between the forces of nature, which is still unknown despite the scientific discoveries, despite the technical advancement, we do not know the exact history of the birth of this planet, of the birth of the civilization, of the birth of humanity, of the mysteries of life cycle, of the mysteries of the solar system, the galaxy, how it is controlled. It is the ultimate mystery. We could not solve it. And the masses, they have not the scientific vision. They are not equipped with technical expertise. They are not scientists. They don't belong to the intelligentsia. They are not professionals. They are common men and common women. They have got their faith. They have the myths, and this faith and those myths consist their faith, their ways of religion. Nobody in the West, the followers of Christianity, they do not perform last rites as we perform in Hindu or in Islam. the Muslims perform 40 days in mourning, and after that period they believe the soul has landed in Jannah. In Hindutva, we perform last rites in accordance with caste identities, and it could be 10 days, 11 days, 13 days, even 14 days and more. And we believe that the soul lands in the heaven. But in the West, they don't believe. Does it mean that all the people from the West, they land in the hell? Not at all. They don't worship Kali or Durga or Shiva. Does it mean that they do not worship the God? They could go to the church. The Hebrew script is perhaps the oldest script, and I don't want any controversy in this regard, because the Hindu people, they claim that their scripts are the most ancient. My point is this, that Hindutva had never been a discipline. The Holy Quran, the Shariat laws and the Hadith, they scripted the wage of religion, the wage of life in Islam, and any person who is Muslim, he has to oblige to the discipline. He has to perform those rituals. But in Hindu, nobody wrote down the discipline. It is not a strict guideline how you remain a Hindu, and nobody might be dismissed from Hindus. But they had been persecuted with dismissal, with exclusion on the ground of purity. And this purity is the basic root of inherent hereditary, and that is step by step, just like a pyramid. The hierarchy in the caste system, every caste is above another caste, and that is higher and lower caste. That is the way, because we have not the written script on religion. Now, I was talking about dynasty. While Israel was constituted, the Jews wanted Albert Einstein as their president, and he refused. He refused to become the president or prime minister of Israel. Why? We have to understand. The intelligentsia has nothing to do with the politics. Aristotle used to say that the state should be ruled by intelligentsia. He was a great philosopher. He was the disciple of Socrates. We cannot go a step further without reading, without consulting Socrates, Aristotle and Plato. the world, the civilization rejected the utopia of Aristotle. This civilization, these political states cannot be ruled by intelligentsia, and we have to keep it in mind. Leo Tolstoy in Russia and Comrade Sartre in France, they rejected Nobel Prize. Yes, Leo Tolstoy is only the person who wrote 3 masterpieces: Resurrection, Anna Karenina, and War and Peace. And he died miserably in a snowstorm, alone in solitude, and he had no political role in Russia. It is. Sartre had no political role in France, and I don't see more apolitical, more political, any intellectual on this earth than Sartre had been. That's it. No Nobel laureate with their prize or without their prize or returning their prize may dare to intervene the political system, the economic system. Our Dr. Amartya Sen in India and Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh are Nobel laureates. They could not bring about the change in the economy. They have no impact on Indian economic system or Bangladeshi economic system. Mr. Kailash Satyarthi has got the Nobel Peace Prize most recently, but bonded labor continues. Our children are bonded. They are predestined to live the bonded life. The labor laws have been killed, and Mr. Satyarthi may not intervene. It is the fact. And we are just making hype about those people who are returning that prize or this prize or that prize. They are injecting the cultural shock, and they are highlighting the phenomenon of Whitgate. It is very, very unfortunate, I must say. I have to speak about Mr. Ashok Bajpai, who is the latest in the line. He did not contribute anything, neither in poetry nor in life, I dare to say. For me, his poetry meant nothing. For me, he is not a cultural activist. At his best, he is an administrator, and he is best known to manage the Bharat Bhavan, which was the center of Indian culture during emergency, during the original fascism behaved in Indian polity. Indira Gandhi made pet of poets, cultural activists, and they were centered in Bharat Bhavan, and Mr. Ashok Bajpayee managed that Bharat Bhavan. And again, Ashok Bajpayee did not say anything about the plight of Indian people, about the basic needs of Indian people, about the free market economy, free flow of capital, free flow of foreign interests, and the continuous holocaust, the continuous refugee influx, and so much. He has not spoke against Salwa Julum. He had not spoken a word against AFSPA. He has not spoke against India's intervention in Nepal. He has not spoken about the politics of caste war, about the inherent caste system, about the racist apartheid, about the geographical disbalance, about the displacement. And I reject to call him a poet. And he returned his Sahitya Academy Award, which he got in 1994, which boosted his career as an administrator, which boosted his career as a poet, and he encashed that already during all these last 20 years. And he has got everything he could get, and he is most established person in Indian cultural system, but now he is returning. What difference it makes? Tell me. And he is not talking just about Kulvargi or just about the death of an innocent person in Dadri who was lynched just because the Hindutva forces declared that he was eating beef. He is talking about Nayantara Sagal. Coincidentally, she is an English writer, and it is the logic of Mr. Ashok Bajpayee that the English writers are not concerned at all. Objection, Mr. Ashok Bajpayee. I know many English writers, I know many English cultural activists, many English apolitical activists who interact in English and who are more concerned than you, Mr. Ashok Bajpayee. They are concerned. But Mr. Ashok Bajpayee says the English writers are not concerned. Do you speak that Mulk Raj Anand or K. Narayan were not concerned at all? Mr. R.K. Lasman was not concerned about at all. The Indian English literature is devoid of public concern. Then stop the study of Indian English literature. It is insult to Indian English literature. You are not just returning the Sahitya Academy Award. You are insulting those people who are engaged in English literature and English journalism. Let me say, I belong to Indian Express Group, and it is my pride that I belong to Indian Express, because it is literally the courage of journalism. Indian Express allows me to speak and write whatever I want to speak, whatever I want to write. They have not banned me. It is another matter. It is their matter of management what status they give me or what status they reject to give me, whether they extend me beyond my retirement or not, that is another matter. The concern is that Indian Express daily breaks news beyond news, and it is not only a simple newspaper, it is beyond newspaper. The newspaper, the print was dead with the live telecast, but Indian Express survived. Fortunately survived because it had never been only a newspaper. It always dealt with Indian conscience. We break the news, and our journalists are very much concerned, very much committed. Everyone working in Indian Express, every journalist, Mr. Rajkamal Jha, our chief editor, he writes in English. He is a creative writer, and I believe he is a better writer than Mr. Ashok Bajpai. And every one of them is concerned, everyone is committed, and I am proud of that. Indian Express is an English paper, and you are questioning about the commitment and concern of English speaking people. It means you are insulting Indian Express, which is addressing the basic problems, the problems of economy, the problems of society, the problems of social injustice and inequality, and exposing everything, every rot in the society, in the economic system, the corrupt politicians. And we are not concerned at all. You are saying that. It is, I object. It is objectionable, Mr. Ashok Bajpai. And you did not say that the initiative is taken by Uday Prakash, our friend, the Hindi writer. He lost his protest first from the cultural world of India, and you are saying that Miss Nayantara Sahgal had returned the Sahitya Academy and others should return it. Is it logic? Is it the fact? Why don't you say that Uday Prakash first returned Sahitya Academy and hence I return and others should return? It would have been logical. You are injecting cultural shock. You are focusing on the brief gate. I don't want any focus on beef gate, because this beef gate is playing as a master key of mind control of the people in this geopolitics. They are brainwashed. They are religiously divided. They are partitioned with religious identity. India is vertically divided into Muslim and Hindu identities, as it had been just before the partition, just before the transfer of power, just before the transfer of population. It happened like that, likewise. And it was a grand alliance of Hindutva led by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Pardon, it was not led by Mr. M.K. Gandhi. M.K. Gandhi was in Noakhali. M.K. Gandhi was wearing the brunt of Kolkata direct actions when the conspiracies were finalizing the tryst with destiny, the transfer of power right in New Delhi. the British Hukumat and those people who wanted partition, who wanted power, who wanted Manusmriti hegemony, they were sheltered in New Delhi, and Gandhi defeated, Gandhi sidelined, Gandhi marginalized, was staying in Panihati Gandhi ashram. He saw the rapes, he saw the genocide. Gandhi was killed at that point, and Nathuram Godse just performed the last rite, and he injected the bullet for the salvation of the father of the nation. It is great tragedy. Please skip the beef gate. Please skip the cultural shock. Good morning, India. Good morning, humanity.